Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Chaos to Clarity podcast. My name is Maggie. I'm your podcast host and your business mentor. And today's conversation feels pretty full circle for me in one of the best ways. So today I'm here with someone who really helped shape my thinking over the last year, and not in a giving me a louder strategy, but really helping me to strip things back and look at what I was actually doing. So today I'm here with Kehla. She is a human design and Gene Keys and AI-driven business strategist who is known for cutting through noise with precision. She helps entrepreneurs orient themselves clearly so their decisions stop feeling so heavy and start feeling clean. She is the host of the Built for the Edge podcast, which is a globally ranked top 2% podcast with over 500 episodes, where she explores nuance, leadership, and what it actually means to build a business that reflects how you think and not just what the trends say you should do. So, Kehla, I'm so excited to have you here, not just as a mentor, but as a peer in this work. So, welcome. I'd love for you to give a little introduction to yourself.
Yeah, I think you just gave an awesome introduction there, to be completely frank, but I'm really excited to be in this space having a conversation with you because, like you said, I feel like we have such a special relationship where obviously I have had the opportunity to mentor you over several months, and we have so many peer-to-peer conversations, and I personally love that. I don't feel like there's no hierarchy in our relationship. We just are both so passionate about business and about human design and Gene Keys and building shit. So I guess that would be my side intro to the situation.
Yeah, I love it. And I love that our relationship didn't feel like that hierarchy, right? That was something that, at least for me, coming into your containers, into your space, I really felt like, oh, my voice is heard. You really saw me, and I could share what I'm doing without being like, oh, here it comes, I'm gonna get knocked down. So, right? And I think there's a lot in the coaching industry, right? So, but I want to get into some of the questions that I have today. So, when you say that you help people locate themselves again, what does that actually mean in practice?
Yes, I think one of the biggest things that I've realized, especially in the coaching industry, is it's very noisy. If we look at how quickly we can post on social media, and there's different platforms, and then there's different trends, and then just throw in some AI and 10x the speed in 2 seconds. It's very loud. And what I notice with literally every single client that I work with is they typically have too many things going on. There's too many offers, there's too many funnels, there's too much messaging, it's so much. And what's ironic is that the entire coaching industry is rooted in not enoughness. Oh, you need this thing to get to this K months and this many clients. And so we're always in this state of lack. So it doesn't surprise me that everyone has acquired all of these extra things. And the work that I do with people, with clients, is really subtraction. It's let's just take this away. Let's be precise. Let's be succinct. And so when we talk about locating yourself, it's kind of like people don't even realize that they're sitting in the middle of a pile of laundry. They're like, I have all these clothes around me and I have to fold the laundry. And it's like, okay, but you get up out of the pile and see that there's a pile, and then let's go through it. And so I find that the work that I do is really bringing back that self-agency and coming back to your own authority and realizing oh my God, I just thought this is how I was supposed to message and this is how I was supposed to launch. And then you give your authority away, and the way that you make decisions goes to what you think you should be doing. So that removal really helps people just see themselves, and it quiets things down, and it just allows people to really articulate their work more clearly. And it feels lighter. So that's how I would describe the locating of the self.
And I can say, just from my own personal, just being in that space, having that reflected back to me to go, oh, just because I'm a manifesting generator doesn't mean that I need to be surrounded by chaos. And I get to choose what chaos I want to be surrounded by. And I think that's important because I also think everybody else you get to choose your chaos. And you also get to choose how you orient around the
Yes.
chaos.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
So
one of the things that you, I just want to note this, one of the things that you often shared, especially at the end in our working together, is you were talking about how, oh, wow, I thought I was responding, but I was reacting. And I think that's what a lot of people are doing, especially like sacral beings. We're like, oh, respond to all the things. And then it's just, like you said, you can choose how you orient yourself, what you are paying attention to. And so I just want to name that, because there's a difference between those two things. And I think that's another component of what it means to like locate yourself in your business.
yeah, I love that. And that actually leads really well into my next question. So, how do you know when someone is oriented versus operating from noise?
Yeah, I love this question. I think the biggest thing is that things feel very simple, and it's like, this is my offer, this is how I'm going to sell it, this is how I'm showing up on social media, and it does not matter what is going on, whether there's high engagement or you're getting a shitload of followers, or you're making daily sales. Like, you're very committed to what it is that you're building, and you're sticking to that rather than getting pulled out by the tide of the external environment. And what is considered noise, like, okay, how many likes or saves did I get on this post, and how many people opted into this masterclass, and why wasn't it as much as the last one? And then people get sidetracked. So I think it's just being very convicted in what it is that you're doing. And it's crazy because I just think about the last call that we had in the Architectrix with you gals, and the three of you were like, yeah, I just know what I'm doing, and this is what's happening next. And I was sitting there, I was like, wow, like it was 6 months of unpeeling the onion, And so that's what I noticed, is that it's someone who's not getting rocked by what's going on in their environment. You like kind of don't really give a fuck, and you're like, this is what I'm doing, and the noise can keep happening, but I know what's going on inside.
Yeah, and I would agree. It was like at the end of that, it was like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. And it was this just like really weird like realization, and for me, I was able to like set aside a lot of noise and do a lot of just like peeling back and understanding, what do I really want to do? Do I have too many offers? Like, how are people coming in? And it really showed me just a new way to basically talk about my offers, but also like a cleaner way, which feels funny to say, right? But it was just like, oh, it's a simpler way, and now people understand it, which, I feel like if you're in a season of chaos and you're like, why is nobody booking? Nobody's doing the things I want them to do. Looking at like, oh, do people actually understand what I'm saying? I think that's a really important piece of business.
Yes. I think it's funny when you were saying that, what I was seeing in my mind is that I think what happens is, let's say you walk into a room and there's chaos, whether it can be whatever it is, lots of noise, party, kids, toys, like the room's on fire, whatever it is. And I think some people automatically want to match the chaos to like fit into the room. Whereas the conversations that I enjoy having with clients and the work that we do is like, okay, how are you going to walk through the room? How are you going to walk through the room to the other side and notice the chaos, but it's not going to set you on fire. You're not going to lose your head. Like, you just keep walking. And I think that there's so much power in that, and I fucking love it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, there is. And I feel like even for me on a personal level, being able to like see the chaos, notice the chaos, but not like, poke the fire and like make it more, like personally, that has helped me like with the kids, and, like just not getting so irrationally mad at my husband for things that like he didn't even know I wanted him to do. But in my mind, I was like, why can't you do that thing? And then it's like, no, actually, I thought of that, but I probably didn't say it out loud. So now I'm just going to go ahead and say it out loud. And so, like, having that noise reduction, that kind of like peace and calm, that has been like eye opening, really. It was so crazy.
Yes.
So you shared a little bit that there was a season where everything looked right on paper, but it all felt kind of heavy. So I'm curious, what was the signal that something felt off? Like, did you feel it right away? Did you just like sit in the chaos and like, it's like that meme where the dog is sitting there and there's flames and it's like everything is fine.
Oh my God. Yeah. 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 I think that, well, it's so funny because you gals were with me in the program, like when it was happening, but it was in the summer of 2025. And up until then, I've been launching mini programs. Like I had a long-term program, like I had private coaching, like things were really, quote, stable. And what I wasn't seeing underneath of that is how much I was the reason why these things were stable. Like I had to keep showing up. Like I was the engine to make it happen. And so what happened in the summer of 2025 was I did a launch. And at the time it was Signature Program by Design, which was the 6-month program that you gals came into. And when I did that launch, there was 3 of you that joined. And after that, it was open enrollment. And I didn't get anyone else in the program during the 6 months that we were together. And I think that summer it was like I was standing on the edge of a cliff and I was like, oh my God, like this did not go how I wanted it to go. And then I just started to look back at how I was showing up, how I was selling, how I was launching, like what I was trying to do. And it was requiring too much effort. And I thought this makes sense why this didn't go to plan, because if it went to plan, it would continue to enable me to show up in the same way. And so what happened over those 6 months, and like I just constricted like so hard in terms of, I went through a bunch of fraud stuff. I know that you saw that happening with the program. I was like, oh my God. But I rebranded, the podcast, I rebranded the Signature Program by Design to the Architectress. This is like my big flagship 12-month program now, and really unapologetically brought in AI, because I was doing AI behind the scenes with my clients, but I was like not talking about it enough in the forefront. And I think that, the last 7 months has been 8 months, I guess, has been like a massive rebuild. And I had to restrain myself because there was so many times where I was like, I could launch this thing and go make a bunch of cash. But I was like, don't fucking do that, Kehla. Like stay focused on what you're building. In the last couple of months, I've been building like a whole AI backend to support the program. And that's built out now. And I'm like, there's a lot of structure in place to receive and really be able to hold clients without having to put in and inject momentum or hype into the situation. So it was really uncomfortable. But I just remember I was like standing at the cliff edge and I was like, the next 7 months are not going to be how I want them to be. Like I already knew. And then I just walked into the fire and kept walking. So that's really what happened. It was very uncomfortable, but that was what we've been talking about, is that I just stuck with the signal. I stuck with what mattered. Like we were in that program together, and like I loved coaching you gals. We had so many amazing conversations. The 3 of you like finished that space and it was like fucking phenomenal. I was like, okay, this is exactly what I meant to be doing. I just had to shift over these last several months, and it did, which is amazing. So coming out the other end now.
I bet it feels like a breath of fresh air. Now, I know you're a generator, you're a 6'2". So do you feel like you had to kind of like go into hermit mode in order to like kind of prepare some of this stuff? Like, as we were in the program, right? Obviously you have to show up for that, but like also kind of like, I got to go back to the drawing table and I need to just like shut the doors and just like get out of my face, clear the space, and just like start fresh. Do you feel like that was something you had to do?
Yeah, so being a 6'2", and I think even just in life, when I found it very difficult, and I think this is very normal, especially as a solopreneur, it's very difficult to be building something and selling it at the same time. That is, there's nuance to that, but when it's like a flagship program that I want to do with clients over 12 months, like that's not a little thing. It's a very big thing. And I think that over those 6 months, it was like, I just saved my energy to build, and like I redid my website. I moved away from Kajabi. There was so much back end work that I was doing, and I just had to go and do a lot without the applause. Like I wasn't sharing all the details on the forefront because I was like, I don't need validation from my audience for what I'm doing. I'm just going to fucking build it and then show up, and it's going to look like I did it overnight, but I did it. And I think that there's those times where, yeah, you got a hermit. But here's the funny thing that I noticed being a generator is like going in and like, I love building shit. And I know you know that, like you're Manny Gen, right? But I can get stuck in just continuing to build, like, oh, let's build this thing and then this next thing and this next thing. And so there's been a lot of awareness around the restraint of like, this is built enough. fucking go and sell it and just show up. And, so that's been very interesting, that restraint piece once the building and the hermit phase is like, has done enough. So it's having that trust and paying attention to the pacing of what it is that you're doing. And that's been really helpful with human design.
Yeah. And that's really interesting, I think, because, even though, so I'm a manifesting generator, I'm a 1-4, and I know for me, I get stuck in like, well, I just need a little more research. I just need to look up this thing. I just need to learn this thing. Right. And where, I know a lot of coaches, a lot of mentors will say, launch the thing, build it in the air, right? Like build it as you're moving forward. And yes, I get that. But also I feel like you have to have some sort of foundation, right? In order to know that, okay, this is actually what I want. This is actually what I want to be doing. Or you're just going to be, throwing spaghetti at the wall. And I do feel like there is a place and time to throw the spaghetti at the wall, right? But I also feel like you have to have that little bit of simplicity and that foundational aspect to be like, okay, I know the client journey. I know how they're coming in. I know where they're at. I know what they want. I've got the framework ready, and now I can start to share more. So do you feel like a lot of entrepreneurs I know who come to me, they say they want simplicity, but then they keep adding, right? So what do you think, like, why do you think subtraction is so challenging?
Yeah. I think that adding things feels productive. And when we're productive, it fuels the belief that more effort equals results. And it also masks the uncomfortability that sometimes it takes to sit in the void and to not have control over timing. So then we fill our time with doing more things so that we can feel better about the time not being where we want it to be, with the thing being, a full sold out program or the launched book or whatever. And so I think that it's a distraction piece. And the other thing is too, is when you decide what it is that you're selling or what it is that you're doing, you have to commit to that. And when you show up and you consistently sell the thing, you're going to have to face some rejection. Not everyone's going to say yes. But if you're constantly building and tinkering and adding more things, then you're never really going to face rejection because you're always improving it. It's like, it's a massive state of avoidance. And so that's a very blunt call out. And I've totally been in that space, but I see it all the fucking time. That's why, like, I have the 50-second gene key in my culture sphere. And so restraint is just so like a really big component of what I do now, but I can't stress it enough. Like, if you can just restrain yourself and like look at what the fuck it is that you're doing and like what it is that you're avoiding emotionally by trying to do more, there's so much gold there. And like sitting in that uncomfortability and like actually having to commit makes a huge difference to move the needle forward in the long run of your business.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like people don't necessarily, well, they don't want to be uncomfortable, right? I think we're also still like coming off of like the hustle era where it was like, oh, okay, I'm just going to hustle every day and I'm just going to like make money. And like, yes, yeah. But like, because like when I started my photo business, it was 2007, right? So the beginning of the hustle era. And I remember saying, oh, yeah, every day I'm hustling. I just have to be out there, just hitting the pavement, telling everyone about my things. And to some extent, yes, that was how I built a client base. But also, man, by the time I left corporate in 2013, I was so exhausted. Like, I left corporate and I'm pretty sure I slept for a month, right? It was like, I couldn't go to bed early enough. I couldn't wake up. And I was like, what is wrong with me? But then I really kind of walked into that like, oh, I see the simplicity in this, right? I see where I want to be going. And I realized I don't actually have to work as hard as I was working. Like, and that realization was like, whoa, this is weird, because I was so used to being like, oh, I'm so busy. Business is so busy. Work is so busy. And like constantly telling myself, I'm so busy.
Yeah. I think that one thing that I think is important to note here is how and I've done this, where we think, oh, I'm going to hustle my way to stability and then I'll be chill. But the thing is like you can't, it's like fighting for peace. Like I'm going to fight for peace, but then you're trying to create peace through fighting. Like that's not going to happen, right? So it's like it's really looking at, you have to build how it is that you want to sustain, but in the building phase, like it just may not go how you want it to go right away, but you're building the infrastructure of your house. It's like building the foundation of a house and the frame of a house, and then you're crying because you want to paint the walls, but it's like, okay, you haven't put the insulation in, and we need to put the drywall, and the floor is not down yet. Like that, there is sequencing that I think people don't think about. And that's something that I've really had to learn over the years, is like, that's really what's going to help you build that regulated nervous system so you don't crash and burn through the chaos like you talked about.
Yes, for sure. I know there's definitely a lot of people who I work with, who I talk to, who are like, oh, everything is just all chaos. And I'm like, well, you're putting the cart before the horse. And like, you can't, there has to be a certain level of like commitment and conviction before you can go out there and sell the thing. So I want to shift gears a little bit, and I want to talk about, I know there's tons of different uses for human design and AI, some together, some separate. Like, I want to know, how do you integrate them without kind of turning them into like rigid systems or crutches, or even like boxes that I've noticed people, oh, I'm a Manny Gen, I have to be chaotic, right? Like, how do you integrate them?
Yeah. I've been using ChatGPT daily since May of 2024. And it's been such an insane journey, where what I notice with AI right now is that a lot of people are using it like Google. They're going to go in and they're going to ask a question. Oh, I'm a 6-2 sacral generator. Like, tell me about my incarnation, left angle of the cross, plane 1, like whatever. And what happens is it will answer, and then people just use it as Google. Where the way that I've been using AI is really building like infrastructure. Like I'm gonna be more interested first in going in, and let's say I want to use AI to plan out an offer, or like I'm gonna plan out a launch. I'm like, hey, what's the structure? What's the runway? The ideal client? The slides? I'm gonna build all the things, and then I'm gonna bring forth, how does my human design gene keys fit into this? Because I see this all the time with women who they come to me and they're like, I'm a 6-2 emotional projector. And they're going to be like, I really just want to get this essence into my work. And then they tell me about their work. And I'm like, you have no floor for your business. Like, you've so many things. It's not clear. It's not even about you can't even bring human design into this, because what you're doing is you're just adding more information, coming back to the adding thing. And I think that there's just things you can't argue, where you have to have structure in place to hold your brilliance, because what's going to hold you then? You're just going to float. And so I think that that's something that what I use with AI is like, I get really curious about like what it is that I'm building first, and then I will bring in the human design and gene keys aspect. But I love to use it as a thinking partner for planning and strategizing over just trying to get information, because I want to apply the information and build something with it. So that's something that I really focus on. And it takes, the irony is like talking to AI like it's a person, and being like, okay, you're having a conversation with a person about it, and not being like, people get fixated. I need the prompts. I need this specific prompt. You don't need a fucking prompt. Just literally talk to it like we're talking right now, and you'll be very surprised how it will respond to you.
I do think that's so funny, because so when I learned how to use ChatGPT, I want to say it was 2023. It was like right when it came out. So my mentor at the time, he was using it, and he was like, you've got to use this. You've got to use this. And he really taught us how to create prompts that would actually give answers, and like you said, talk to AI like a person. And like, basically, the better the prompt, the better the answer. Which I loved learning that, right? Like, one line shining through right there. But so like, when I learned what you do and how you integrate that, I was like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. And yeah, everybody's using it wrong, because yes, you're using it like Google. And of course it's just going to give you the generic answer. It's not going to go deeper. And I think sometimes I think people are afraid to go deeper with it, right? I think they're afraid of like, oh, well, what is this? It's going to tell me that my stuff sucks, right? Like I was talking to a woman a couple weeks ago, and she was like, I asked her about ChatGPT, and she was like, well, yeah, I kind of use it, but I kind of don't. And like, I'm just really afraid it's going to tell me that I suck. And I'm like, really? Like, now I'm curious. Tell me more. Like, why do you think that? And it was just such a fascinating conversation. And then to see her like shift out of like, oh, it's bad to like, oh, I just can use it a different way and it can give me what I want. I think that
Yep.
nuance, that shift can be so powerful for people.
Yes. I think but honestly though, like I'm a huge feedback person. Like I love receiving feedback, giving feedback. Like I'm just known for that. That's just how I am. It's how I operate. And so in chat, like I'm always asking for feedback, and I'll always be like, hey, be the devil's advocate. Like, let's test this. Let's pressurize this. Like, let's look into this. And I am always looking at my own shit. But the thing is that it makes your skin thicker in terms of if you can face the things inside that need to be worked on or released. And it's not like constantly needing to optimize yourself, but it is just being curious. Like if you can just be curious about blind spots when you need to address the blind spots, like it's only going to make your life easier. And I think that you're right, that people need to be willing to face that, because that is being able to go into chat. I think one of the biggest questions I asked, and I won't know it verbatim, but you'll get the context when I say that. It was in October, and I had decided on the name The Architectrix Atelier for rebranding. And I was moving to the end of the year, and I asked chat something like, what is a blind spot that I have, something that I'm doing that I need to do more of to bring into 2026? Like, what is something that I'm doing that I don't realize that I'm doing? And that was the first time it ever brought up epistemic authority. And you're probably like, you probably heard me talk about this, and I'll say it really quick. We've actually been talking about epistemic authority this entire conversation, in case the audience is like, what is that? Epistemic authority is essentially withdrawing illegitimate authorities in your life. So when we were literally talking earlier, and it's like, okay, all the chaos, and you give your energy to the chaos, why do you have to give your energy and attention to the chaos? Like you pull back. Subtraction. That is epistemic authority. And I was like, oh my God, it helped me see what I was doing unconsciously with my clients. And therefore, it gave me language. And this has been a huge pivot for me in the last few months, using ChatGPT to mirror things to me that I'm not seeing, because I drop transcripts from all of our calls, from workshops that I host, podcast interviews. I drop all of this into chat, and I look at this, and I've literally, in January, I was like, I'm going to write a book. And I've written 6 out of 7 chapters in the last 3 weeks because of chat being able to mirror back to me what it is that I'm doing that I'm not seeing. So when you have that willingness, it can literally change your life and like change the trajectory of your business.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like for me, that shows up as like curiosity, right? And that I know when we worked together, we talked a lot about my innocence motivation. And that was so wild to be like, oh my gosh, like, what if I'm just curious about, like, what if I just get curious about this? And like, I let my, like one line brain go down that, like, what would be so fun about this thing? And, if it keeps going, well, then let's keep following that golden thread. But if it doesn't, then I don't have to keep wasting time on that. And, as a business owner, that can be so powerful, not getting stuck in wasting time, but you have to notice it first.
Yes, that's the thing, that with epistemic authority, it is the noticing. It is the noticing where you've given your power away. It's the noticing where you've added the story, where you've decided this is how something needed to be, and then you can just retract it, and you don't have to continually add more. That's how you create simplicity. So I love that you brought that up, because it was like such a great example of like, oh, I can just be curious. Like I don't have to like commit so rigorously to this thing. I could just wonder about it and then take action when it feels correct.
Yeah. My husband and I, we call that like if we don't know something, one of us will ask a question and the other will be like, well, I'm not sure. And then one of us will usually say, well, should we Google it? Or like, should we just like sit in the land of wonderment? Right. And just like get curious about it. And I think that like that is so fun. It feels so playful. And, you know, like if there's any Manny Gens listening, like that playfulness, that curiosity is like such a fun place to be in as a business owner. And I mean, just as a person in general, right? Like knowing that, oh, I can just like let my mind wander, but I also have the tools to like pull it back and be like, okay, we've done enough wandering for now. We'll, you know, like table this and we'll come back to it.
Yeah. I love that wonderment. That's one thing, actually, I'll say this around AI is I make an effort now to get curious and process before I go into the platform, because it's very easy to be like, I have this thought process, or I need to process this thing. And then you just fucking run to ChatGPT and drop it in. But I think what you just said, that wonderment piece of like just being with your humanity before you go in and like see what AI has to say about it, I think that's been something that I've been practicing very diligently over the last few years. And it's something that I highly recommend for.
Yeah, I love that. So if someone is feeling scattered right now, is what are the first, like what's the first move you would say for them to make, or like where can they look to, you know, like I guess like come back to like feet on the ground?
Yeah, I 99% of the time am sure that there's probably too much on your plate. It's probably like, wouldn't be surprised if somebody's like, yeah, I have this idea, like either one-on-one coaching or group coaching, and then all of a sudden you've got like this 1 month commitment, and then you've got a la carte, you know, Voxer, whatever, for 3 days, and then you've got this self-paced thing, and there's a big funnel downwards. But what you don't realize is that you've probably watered down what it is that you do, rather than just fucking committing to the whole kit and caboodle and being like, this is how you work with me, and then funneling everything to there, but not having to water it down just to make people comfortable with where they're at. I think that's the biggest thing is, yeah, like how can you take things away? And it's going to feel fucking uncomfortable. It's going to feel exposing because you've been so comfortable with like, look at this robust product suite that I have, and I'm posting across 6 different platforms, and I'm doing a podcast 3 times a week and whatever. And it's like, how can you do less? How can you say less and mean what it is that you say? And watch your nervous system change, watch your energy change, watch your presence change in your day-to-day life outside of your business. It will literally change everything. And that's why I literally will not shut up about subtracting in business, because everyone's like, you need this, this, and this. I'm like, what can we take away? Like prune the tree, you know?
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. But I think that's so true. You know, like we start adding, and then before you know it, it's like, oh, I have this suite of 27 things, and I don't know where any of my links are, and I haven't answered DMs in days, and like just all the things. And like, where can you, especially if you know, don't want to be like working full-time hours in your business. That's something that some people ask me all the time. How do I work part-time hours in my business, but still make like, you know, 6 figures? And I'm like, well, you have to take things away. You have to simplify. You have to know your client journey. You have to know, where are you connecting with people? How are they opting in with you? What are they paying? They don't want 27 things. They probably want 1 or 2, quite honestly.
Yeah. And I think what's even more important right now with the demand of AI is that precision, simplicity, and less is so important, because what's happening, and actually I didn't expect to go down this rabbit hole, but I think it's important. What's going to happen right now with AI is, because information is so infinitely available, anything that's kind of in the mid-range of like self-paced, low ticket, you know, whatever, probably not going to sell in the way that it did 5 years ago, because you can just go to ChatGPT and ask the fucking question, and that's it. So now more than ever is the time to, and I know people hate this word, but I personally love it, is niche the fuck down. And when I say niche, what I love to say is all you're doing is getting closer to your genius. When people freak out and they're like, I'm being boxed in, like, no, you're getting so close to your genius that people are going to hear the specific words that you use to express yourself in your work. And when you do that, you're going to have less to give, but what you give is so precise that it becomes easier to sell, and you're not competing with everything else. So I just wanted to name that, because I'm watching I'm watching AI. I'm watching all the custom GPTs and the branding and then all the things coming out right now. I'm like, there's, again, a lot of noise. This is the time to cut things off and get precise and trust yourself to deliver.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, again, coming back to, if you want simplicity, that doesn't mean 27 different things, right? It means like paring down. What do I actually need? What do I not really need? Or what don't I really love about this? You don't have to love every single thing about your business. You can change, and that's okay.
Yes.
So Kehla, thank you so much for being here. This has been such an amazing conversation, and I'm just so honored, that you're here on the podcast and just offering your impact. I would love for you to share, how can people find you and go deeper into your work?
Yeah, so you can catch me on Instagram. That's my main platform, at Kehla G. And my podcast, you mentioned earlier, Built for the Edge. You and I have an awesome conversation on there. We can probably link that in the show notes, actually, if you want to bounce between the two of us talking. And I'm on Substack as well. You can find me there. And my gift for the audience today is Your Business Reoriented. So it's like a 5-part podcast audio series, and just really selected specific episodes from my channel that are going to help you orient to yourself, similar to what we talked about today, through the lens of your human design and gene keys, and just helping you get really reconnected with your business and where it is that you're doing and where you're going. So that'll be the gift for everyone that they can grab in the show notes. So thank you for having me on. And I really loved, we talked about all the things that I love to talk about, which is so exciting.
I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And for all the listeners, if this episode really resonated with you, I would love to invite you to sit with what we talked about today, but maybe more importantly, sit with these couple questions. Where are you over responding? Where are you adding instead of subtracting? And where might clarity be quieter than you expected? Feel free to slide into my DMs. You can find me on Instagram at Maggie Lynn, Lynn mentoring, or the Chaos to Clarity podcast. And I will see you in the next episode.